Hey everybody, happy Sunday. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you are doing, you are having an amazing weekend. We have a chicken and garden update with a difference today. Normally I would be sharing how things are growing in my garden and my greenhouse. But because we are actually all taking a week off, the only person to work last week was actually Kate. She did 10 and she's taking a couple of weeks off. In fact, she's taking the rest of July off. So she volunteered to do 10 this week, and Erin did like half an hour to an hour of work to do the thumbnail for us. But everything else is pre-recorded. Michael is not being allowed to work. Michael is behind the camera. He's helping me out with this one for a very good reason. And it does mean that you're going to miss a week of chicken and garden updates. So I thought I would explain how we water everything in the garden, because it's something that several of you have picked up. So if you look in here, we have a drip irrigation tube. It's basically a water pipe with holes in it. And how that works is that when you pass water through it, it seeps out throughout the length of the pipe, and it means that everything gets watered. Right now, for example, this probably looks pretty dry. But if I go down a bit, you'll see here, it's nice and moist and wet. And that's nothing growing, that's just a dead leaf. So what we do is we drip irrigate because it's more water efficient. If you follow me, outside we use more traditional watering methods. So around here in the vegetable garden, we have an impact sprinkler, which you see down there on the ground. Impact sprinklers are the things that go and spray a whole load of water everywhere. Now those impact sprinklers are not the best in terms of water efficiency, but they're kind of useful if you are going to be doing any kind of large volume watering. So what we've done here is we have loads of water pipes going all the way across the garden. And the reason we do that is because it's easier for us to water everything on a schedule than it is for us to just water one thing, then move the pipe, and then water another thing, and then move the pipe. Now, yes, I had to spend a fairly large amount of money on decent piping, but a lot less than you might think. Now, there are other sprinklers that allow everything else to properly be watered. You see there's two pipes coming down here, and then there's also an impact sprinkler there, and we have a couple of spray jets on our potatoes way over there. And then for the front garden, we have another impact sprinkler, which just sits the other side of the greenhouse. You can't see it. And then for the fruit trees, we also have another drip irrigation system that waters directly above the roots. Combined, that whole system uses less water than me just putting impact sprinklers everywhere. But to control it, I wanted something smart. And that's what I'm going to show you today. These are Beehive smart irrigation controllers. You can operate them, you can program them here and operate them and have them just manually come on and off for set periods of time. There are 4 zones corresponding to the 4 pipes, and I've got another one here with 2 pipes on. So we've got the greenhouse, the vegetable garden. This is for the fruit trees. This one is for the impact sprinkler at the very front of the house for the front borders. And then we have, what do we have here? This one is for the front vegetable pots, and then this one is for the potatoes. So they all have special zones. You can't keep them on in the winter time. There's a tractor going down the road. I do apologize. But the cool thing about this is it is Bluetooth enabled. Now these controllers are about $120 to $150 depending on where you get them, and you can operate them, as I say, manually here. You can work with them over Bluetooth, and if you buy the special Beehive Bluetooth to Wi-Fi adapter, you can connect them to Wi-Fi, and we have a Wi-Fi network set up just for our IoT, or Internet of Things. The cool thing though, and I'm going to show you this, is that there is a smartphone app that you can get that allows you to completely customize what's going on with your garden watering. And I'm going to show you now, because I've got a screen recording running here. So I'm going to open up the Beehive app. It comes in here. Don't worry, I will put it on the screen next to you, or next to me. Can't put it next to you. So you can see exactly how this works. It will tell me right now that smart watering will begin on Friday at 5 a.m. and it sets up zones. And how it works is when you set it up, it asks you a series of questions. I'm just going to select the right timer. So I'm going to actually select water timer number 1. Actually, let's go back. I'm going to disconnect it, and I'm going to, let's go to number 1. Yep, so here we go. This is timer number 1. And when I select timer number 1, it will then ask me some questions about the zones. So I go to home and I click zones, and then it's got a picture of my greenhouse, vegetable garden, fruit trees and borders. It records how much moisture there is in the soil based on how much water we have watered recently, but it also takes into consideration local rainfall, so it knows where I live, okay? And it does that by asking me my address, and when I set up my zones, it will ask me things like how much, what type of soil I have. So I've got clay soil here. What type of plants I have. So we have trees. What type of sprinkler we have, what the sunlight is, what the slope is, whether that area gets access to all or some of the rainfall, and some other things. And you can make it as complicated or as granular as you want it to be, or you can make it as simple as you want to be. These will also operate as manual timers that you can just activate via the app if you so wish, or like I say, you can go completely smart and have it work as part of your home. One of the other cool things though that we've done is, because this works via a smartphone app, we've also got an integration with Home Assistant, which is an open source smart home controller system that you can use. So if I go to my dashboard here and I go all the way to the end to gardening, I'm going to show you how easy it is for me to turn on the watering. I am going to turn on, let's see, I'm going to turn on the borders here. So actually no, because if I turn on the borders, Michael's going to get wet. I'm going to turn on the greenhouse. So how that works is, whoops, I'm just going to flip the switch there for the greenhouse zone. And in a second, it will come to here. Did you hear that click? There is now water flowing through this pipe going, this pipe going to the greenhouse. It says zone 1. It's got a picture saying it's active. I can turn it back off again and it will turn off. And about 30 seconds. Hopefully. There you go. It just turned off and I got a message saying that my timer has finished and that my garden has been watered. Now the cool thing about this is that I do travel a fair amount, right? So I travel a lot for work, and one of the challenges with that is that my wife is not very good with plants. She doesn't really get the watering schedule, and there's only really 2 things that absolutely need manual watering now, and it's the 2 hanging baskets at the front of the house. Everything else that needs water can get access to water. I can activate the watering wherever I am in the world using a smartphone and the smartphone app that came with the Beehive system, or using my Home Assistant integration. I can also make sure that I can monitor the weather and the water. So one of the things I want to do moving forwards is to actually use the rain gauge we've got on the back of the house, which is another smart home product, to monitor the rainfall and then make adjustments to our watering so that we're not wasting water when we try and grow things in the garden. The other nice thing about this watering is I can program it to happen early in the morning when everyone is asleep, which is generally considered the better time to water things. Plants don't always like it if you try and water them during the day when it's really hot. You can actually scorch the leaves if you try and water while the sun is really, really hot. But you can also cause problems if you try and water the night before and then leave the soil damp overnight. So watering the plants just before the sun comes up or as the sun is coming up is a really good time to do it. And for us, and because we have dogs, having the watering system take care of all of the watering before the dogs come out in the morning means we don't end up with a lot of muddy, wet dogs. That is how we do the system. I will try and leave some links in the description below. Let me know if this is something that you'd like us to maybe do a proper tutorial on at some point in the future. And if not, well, you know, I'd love to know how you make sure that you keep your garden watered. Long term, I want to put a monitor on our well pump so we know exactly how much water we're consuming. But other than that, that's pretty much how it works. And on that note, we are done with today's video. If you liked the video, be sure to let us know. You can do comments below. You can drop us a polite note in the Discord chat room. You can reach out to us on Mastodon, or if you're a Patreon supporter, you can leave a note there in the comments. If you want more, subscribe, hit the bell, and follow the links below to regularly support us with a YouTube membership or a Patreon subscription. You'll also find links to our Ko-fi, Bitcoin, and Swag store, as well as that aforementioned Mastodon server. Scrolling on my right is the list of amazing charged up supporters, and shout outs go out to our V2G Patreon supporters: Pedro Moro Pinheiro, Alan Tupper, Andrew Martin, Bennett Elder, Brophy Wolf, Chris Maxwell, Cyprian Laplace, Dan Blair, Gordon C, Hey Esker, John Tramal, Kyle Fox, Mark Eggleton, Peter Dillinger, Regine Fellows, Sean Tucker, Stephen Fremden, Stephen Williams, Tasla in the Gong, Paul Bricknell, Tony Moss, Carl Hodgson, Chris Centaur, Denny Hyde, Lance Shaw, Linda Irish, Mike Weeder, and Paul Nelson. And finally, big thanks to our off-grid supporters. They are Paul Conway, Kevin Burridge, Stephen O'Donoghue, Jim Burness, Robert Flannery, Aaron Hahn, Ellery Hensley, Rory Litwin, JP Fagerback, Dave Kitchen, Andrew Glenn, Anonymous Freak, Chris and Michael Johnson, Clay Witt, CPU Freak 101, Eric Neck, Joe Bresney, Joe Hughes, John Henderson, Laura Reynolds, Marcel Ward, Matthew Drobnek, Nigel S, Reggie Watts, Will Graylin, and of course, Ian. Don't forget that we produce content every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday on the main channel, a day earlier if you are a Patreon supporter or YouTube channel member, and then join me on a Sunday for the Chicken and Garden update over here on Take 2, as well as the Sunday musing, which will be following very shortly later on today. I hope that whatever you are doing, you are having a great weekend, and as always, keep evolving.